For people trying to plan out retirement at this point, whether it's 5 years away or 15 years away, we know that we want to retire where our money can go as far as humanly possible. And most of the stuff you see about Texas right now, people are talking about how Texas has gotten so expensive. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to talk to you about some places in Texas that are absolutely beautiful, but they are still affordable. Places where you can buy a waterfront home for $250,000. Places where the only traffic you're going to have to worry about is going to be a tractor parade in downtown. And also places that allow you to kind of keep going with that outdoors lifestyle. You can walk to state parks or drive to multiple state parks within 20 or 30 minutes. So let's get started on the list now. Let's start with number 10. Mineral Wells, Texas. Now, it may not sound familiar to you, but Mineral Wells has an amazing history, and it's got to be one of the biggest comeback stories in all of Texas history. Mineral Wells was a national spa town back in the early 1900s. People literally took trains here just to drink the waters at the Crazy Water Hotel. That same hotel has been incredibly restored right now, and today the entire town is leaning into that outdoor wellness identity again. According to Zillow, the median home here right now is about $201,000. That's far below the state average, and it's also far below the national average. And what makes Mineral Wells stand out is the direct tie between the town and trail. Lake Mineral Wells State Park and Trailway literally runs from the park straight into downtown Mineral Wells. It's a 20-mile multi-use rail trail, so you can ride, hike, or even take a horse from Main Street straight to the lake. That's a setup you just don't see much anymore. And buyers in Mineral Wells are absolutely loving the mix of affordability and outdoor lifestyle. The historic core feels genuine, the downtown is reviving, your weekends are defined by lake mornings and walkable evenings, not metro traffic. Number 9 is Junction, Texas. Now, Junction, Texas is out in the beloved Texas Hill Country, and it sits right where the North and South Llano rivers meet, and water shapes everything about this community. The South Llano River State Park is just about 5 miles south of town, which means that kayaking, tubing, fishing are just part of daily life. Home values range around $302,000, and that's shockingly affordable for a true river community in the Hill Country. If you've ever dreamed of stepping out your back door and being on the river within minutes, this is the town for you. Locals call Junction the last authentic Hill Country river town that hasn't been overrun by tourism. It's still quiet, it's clean, feels like the kind of place where you measure your day by the sun instead of your actual schedule. For anybody who's got a non-negotiable of being in, near, or on the water in the Texas Hill Country, this is the alternative to Texas and Wimberley, and by far, it is more calm and a lot more affordable. Number 8 is Lampasas, Texas, which is northwest of Austin. And Lampasas is that place that most people who live in Austin completely overlook, and I'm going to tell you, this place is beautiful. The town was built around mineral springs, and those springs are still flowing to this day. The Hancock Springs Pool is one of the oldest continuously operated spring-fed pools in Texas, with water that stays in the high 60s year-round. Homes here run about $288,000 on average, and you get a town that still feels like real Texas. Sulphur Creek runs through downtown, and the surrounding parks give you a true greenbelt inside of the city limits. Interestingly enough, TripAdvisor lists Lampasas as one of the best small Texas towns for outdoor recreation. It's really easy to see why. You're about an hour from Austin, which is close enough for a day trip, but the lifestyle feels decades apart. You've got natural spring-fed swimming pools, you've got art festivals, and you've got a cost of living that still feels a little bit normal. All right, number 7 is Port Lavaca, Texas. Now, Port Lavaca, Texas is a working town. It's down on the coast, and this is where affordability meets salt air in Texas. The median home price here is around $184,000, and you're right on Lavaca Bay, which is part of the larger Matagorda Bay system. From town, you've got fast access to the Barrier Island wildlands of the Matagorda Island Wildlife Management Area. This is where birders, kayakers, beachcombers, fishermen, they comb the shoreline all days. There's no big resort or glitz here. It's just genuine waterfront living. For buyers, this is a rare place where you can still afford a home near the water, keep your boat in the bay, and spend weekends fishing instead of paying for resort fees. So Port Lavaca, the lifestyle is still very slow. It's still very salty. And it's still really affordable. And I love the saying that the locals have. They say Port Lavaca is the place where you can still afford the view. Number 6 on the list is Palacios, Texas. Just down the bay from Port Lavaca. It's another coastal town. Now, you may wonder why I'm pronouncing Port Lavaca, and not Lavaca, because that's what it means, the cow, right? Well, because we're from Texas. And Palacios is pronounced Palacios, not Palacios, just let you know. This might be one of the most authentic Gulf towns left. It's known as the shrimp capital of Texas, and this is a community where the working waterfront is still alive. Median home value here hovers around $190,000, and you're surrounded by quiet bay waters and nature preserves. The Mad Island Marsh Preserves is just minutes away, and it's part of one of the richest birding areas in the country, where more than 250 species of birds have been recorded. But what's amazing is how calm and affordable it still feels. You can fish off the pier, walk to a family-owned seafood market, and see the sunset over the same water that's fed this town for generations. For anybody who's wanting Gulf Coast salt water for under $200,000, Palacios and Port Lavaca are your two go-to choices. All right, number 6, let's go to a different part of the state. Let's go to Granbury, Texas. Granbury is what happens when you take an extremely historically important town and mix it with lake life. The square looks like it's right out of a movie set. Limestone courthouse, boutiques, shaded sidewalks, and beyond that's Lake Granbury. That's where boating and fishing are part of daily life. Homes here are a little bit more. They average around $374,000, but for what you get, a strong community, a vibrant historic district, lake access, it's still an incredible value. The town sits near the Action Nature Center and dozens of lake coves ideal for paddleboarding or evening cruises. It's also been named USA Today's Best Historic Small Town multiple years in a row. Granbury sits just a little southwest of Fort Worth, and we'll call it that aspirational, affordable town. It's where you can get that lake life, you can get all of the amenities, and the prices are way less than what you're going to find in the DFW Metroplex. For number 4, let's head out to the piney woods of East Texas, and we're going to talk about a town you probably haven't heard of, Woodville, Texas. The reason you haven't heard of it is because you're more likely to find trees than traffic there. The average home price there is just $152,000, and you're literally bordering the Big Thicket National Preserve. That preserve protects over 100,000 acres of forests, wetlands, and bayous with more than 30 miles of trails and miles of paddle zones through one of the most biodiverse ecosystems in the U.S. Woodville hosts the Dogwood Festival, which is a local tradition dating back to the 1930s, celebrating the spring bloom that turns the hills white with flowers. Woodville is what happens when nature and affordability overlap completely. It's quiet, beautiful, and full of a real community. So if your ideal lifestyle includes massive pine trees, really affordable town, and the only sounds being nature and wind, Woodville's probably a good option for you. All right, before we get to number 3, guys, I want to remind you, I am a realtor. I'm doing this for a reason. Yes, I do want to educate you about the great state of Texas, place I was born and raised and absolutely love. But if you're thinking about moving here, reach out to somebody like myself. Don't go to a random realtor on Zillow. Reach out to somebody like myself who can have a conversation with you and try to put you in the best situation for yourself. If you're looking in a part of the state, or if the best part of the state is somewhere that I don't personally work, I've got resources all throughout the state that can help you anywhere. All right, number 3, we're going to go from the piney woods of East Texas to the high desert of West Texas. Yes, we've got a ton of different ecosystems here, but we're going to a place called, coincidentally, Alpine, Texas. Yeah, it makes it seem like it's high in the mountains. Well, over 4,400 feet, that is high country for Texas. You're halfway between Big Bend National Park and Davis Mountain State Park. Both of those are easy day trips from Alpine. And you wouldn't have guessed this for Texas, but because of the elevation, summers here usually top out in the 80s and the nights actually get cool and crisp. Alpine has a thriving art and culture scene anchored by Sul Ross University and events like the Trappings of Texas and Viva Big Bend Music Fest. It's one of those rare places where the mountain air meets small town Texas authenticity. So if you're craving massive blue skies, wide open horizons, and more importantly, low humidity, Alpine is definitely going to be a great option for you. All right, for number 2, we're heading back to Central Texas and the Texas Hill Country again, and we're going to go to a place called Llano, Texas. And yes, I know we pronounce it Llano because we're from Texas. It looks like Llano, but it's pronounced Llano. It sits on the banks of the Llano River, and you may remember from earlier, we were talking about Junction. Junction is where the North and South Llano meet. Well, this is where the Llano continues to run through, and it absolutely defines the beauty of Llano, Texas. The Llano River cuts through granite bluffs and smooth boulders, creating endless fishing and swimming spots in the area. Llano is also the only place on the planet where you can find lanite. Lanite is a blue granite. It's absolutely crazy, iridescent, and beautiful. You should look it up sometime. Homes here average around $307,000, and just south of town sits Enchanted Rock State Natural Area. It's about 20 miles away on the Llano and Gillespie County lines, and Enchanted Rock is one of Texas's most iconic hikes. It's a massive pink granite dome and 360-degree views of the hill country. Spring in Llano means wildflowers, and tons of different types, and they're everywhere, but particularly bluebonnets, which is the state flower of Texas, and those things can blanket entire fields, acres in size. Locals call it the deer capital of Texas, and Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue might be the most famous smoke pit in the state. What Llano offers you is that perfect combination of charm, nature, and value. And the other thing that it gives you is affordability in the Texas Hill Country, where you can just be and not have to worry about paying wine country prices for your home. So number 1 on this list is the place that I think could be one of the best investments that you make. And the reason is because it's coming up on some massive changes that are going to really alter in a good way the town. So the town itself is called Bonham, Texas. The median home price here is about $229,000, but the real story is the new lake. Bodark Lake. Yes, it's pronounced Bodark, and it's named after a tree, the Bodark tree. It's known for really, really hard wood. So it's the first major reservoir built in Texas in more than 30 years, and it just opened for public access. It spans over 16,600 acres, creating an entirely new recreation hub less than 10 miles northeast of downtown Bonham. That type of state-scale infrastructure just doesn't happen very often. It's already changing the local economy in Bonham, from marinas to restaurants to small developers who are looking for second home lots. For now, prices are remaining pretty low, but history says that's not going to last very long. Bonham is the definition of smart timing, an affordable small town about to gain major outdoor amenities. I mean, heck, when they bring the lake to your town, it kind of changes those weekend amenities and the long-term upside for the community.